Good evening, everyone. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Wilmette Appearance Review Commission. Mr. Stevenson, could you please call the roll so we can call the meeting to order?
Yes. Nada Andrick,
Present.
Richard Brill,
Here.
Devin Castellano,
Here.
Mason Miller,
Yes.
Jeffrey Saad,
Yes.
and Charles Smith.
Yes, present. Thank you. So before we get started, everyone, welcome to all of our guests this evening. I'd like to read a few comments required by the condition that we're in. This meeting is being conducted remotely via Microsoft Teams. For those watching this video in the future, the state of Illinois is currently under a stay-at-home order, which we understand may be lifted in the near future. But right now it's issued by the governor, J.B. Pritzker, due to the coronavirus global pandemic. As a result, all in-person governmental meetings have been canceled. However, the Open Meetings Act now permits electronic meetings of governmental bodies, and this evening we are conducting our business in compliance with the state law. As usual, this meeting is being broadcast live on our local cable access channel 6. It is also being broadcast on the internet on YouTube Live. To participate in the meeting, you can join through Microsoft Teams. Visit the Village website at www.wilmette.com and find the calendar event for the Appearance Review Commission meeting. There is a link for you to join the meeting. You may also submit your comments through YouTube Live. A member of the Village staff will read your comment to the Appearance Review Commission. All comments to the Appearance Review Commission will be recorded in the meeting minutes, as we typically do. For our meeting guests joining by Teams, when you are not speaking, please keep your device muted to minimize disruption of the proceedings and your video turned off so that the board members can be seen. The cases shall hear this evening will be heard in the order set forth in the published agenda. When your name is called, please state your name and address and provide a brief presentation of your proposal. The commissioners have received the staff report, which includes the plans and comments you've submitted. After the presentation by the applicant, the commission will ask any questions they have of the application. Once the commission has asked their questions, they will open up the floor to others who wish to speak on the application. I will recognize each attendee to ask if you have a comment, so please wait until you are called. Everyone will be permitted to have their say, though we would ask you keep your comments as short and to the point as possible. Any comments received through the YouTube chat, Teams chat, or email will be read into the record at this time. After we have heard all of the oral presentations, I will close the evidence and members of the board will discuss what they have heard and take a vote. Once the evidence is closed, no further testimony on an application may be offered. The only people entitled to speak during that part of the proceeding will be the members of the commission. If you are here and planning to testify tonight, I would ask that you raise your right hand at this time and be sworn in. And we'll do this on the honor system. Do you swear or affirm that you will tell the truth in the testimony that you are about to give? If so, please say, I do. Thank you. Lucas, I believe our first item is approval of the minutes. Is that correct?
Correct.
So is there anything to present on that or any comments that we need to consider prior to a motion being made?
Nope.
Okay, commissioners, we have all received the agenda or the minutes from our May 3rd, 2021 meeting, and I trust everyone's read them. I'll ask if there is a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments prior to voting? Lucas, could you please call the roll?
Nada Andrick,
Yes.
Richard Brill,
Yes.
Devin Castellano,
Yes.
Mason Miller,
Yes.
Jeffrey Saad,
Yes.
and Charles Smith.
Yes, approved. Minutes are approved. Thank you very much. For our guests in the audience, we have two major categories of content this evening. One is a short consent agenda where we have 2 items on that. And then we have 5 cases that will come before the commission this evening. We will listen and review and take action as appropriate in the order that they're listed in the agenda. Lucas, could you please present the consent agenda to the commission?
Sure, there are 2 cases. The first case is for 1225 Green Bay Road for Crystal's Body Shop. They're proposing a conforming projecting sign. And the other case is for 165 Green Bay Road for Pearl Nail Spa. This is for an existing wall-mounted channel letter sign that's they're changing the name, so they're going to switch out Imperial for Pearl. That is also conforming.
Thank you. I will ask the commission if there are any comments or questions regarding the consent agenda.
Yeah, Charles, I got a question. You're right now, you're saying is Imperial is there with a sign, and that's going to be the same business with the new name?
Yes.
And is it going to be in the same space where Imperial is now, or are they moving over one space?
They are simply, everything will be staying the same, simply just a name change. So same location, same raceway. Yeah, just swapping out the Imperial for Pearl.
Okay, so there won't be 2 nail salons side by side on
Correct.
Green Bay Road. Okay,
Correct.
got it.
Nada, I believe you had your hand raised.
No.
No, okay. Are there any other questions or comments by the commission? Lucas, could you please call the roll based on the motion that was seconded?
Oh, sorry, I missed the motion in the second. Sorry.
Yeah. Who made the motion? I believe, was there a motion made or no? Okay, I'm remembering from the meeting minutes then. So I will ask if there is a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Okay. Be glad to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Thank you, Richard. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Devin. Lucas, can you please call the roll?
Certainly. Nada Andrick,
Yes.
Richard Brill,
Yes.
Devin Castellano,
Yes.
Mason Miller,
Yes.
Jeffrey Saad,
Yes.
and Charles Smith.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay. As I mentioned, we have 5 cases in front of us this evening. Lucas, could you please call the first case?
Sure. The first case is 2021 AR18 for 1100 Laramie Avenue. Loyola Academy is the petitioner requesting. This is follow-up to our previous meeting where we had approved, or the commission had approved some modifications to the design. Now they're coming back to finalize the fence material. And I believe the architect is present. Whoever's presenting, if they could please introduce themselves and give
I'm
a
here.
presentation.
Yeah,
Okay,
my name is-
Dennis.
Yes, yes.
Gotcha.
This is Dennis Stonquist from Loyola Academy, Executive Vice President in front of you again. And I wanted to say thanks for having us. We believe we have just some quick follow-up information to the questions that were posed in our last time we were in front of you regarding the fence in the back of the house facing the Edens, and some data to the bird safety on our glass. Sarah's done an amazing job, and thank you for this opportunity, because we had a chance to refresh and sort of talk this through again. and we feel like we're in a really good spot. So Sarah, once again, our lead architect, will drive the machine, but we're here for questions. So Sarah, can you take over from there?
Sure. Thanks, Dennis. Hi, everyone. Thanks again for having us. We have taken in all the comments and believe that we found a solution that kind of meets everyone's objectives. As we have it, there's a fence on the east side adjacent to the Edens. We have a precast building, and our goal is, an architectural goal is to create a fence that is monolithic and provides a decent backdrop to the trees and is an in-between from the trees to the precast. So we specifically want it to be an alternate material to the rest of the volumes that are on campus. And what we are suggesting and proposing is that we shift from a product like cedar to a very sustainable product called Trex, which is a manufactured wood. There's a number of different material color palettes to choose from. In understanding the feedback that we got in the last meeting, we felt like this would meet the need to have a long-lasting fence that would look like it does day one over a number of years. So this is the document, the memo that you've seen, but I've pasted in a sample image of the precast so that you can see the color that we would be looking at. We would likely recommend that it would be this island mist color to kind of pull in some of the aggregate color, or the rope swing, which would be the color of the matrix. So we're going to be looking at these samples now, but we are very much interested in having it kind of blend in with the trees, having it blend in with the campus, but be specifically a different material. I don't know if we want to talk about this first and then go to the bird safety class issue, or if you want me to do everything at once.
Why don't we do everything at once, Sarah? It's a pretty contained amount of info here. We could ask questions then when you're finished. Thank you.
Okay, sure. So related to the bird safe glass, there is the only way that we felt like we could properly prove out the building was to run it through a credit that LEED offers for bird collision deterrence. And so LEED offers a credit, which I'll just explain it for everyone in case you haven't read it. It takes into account a number of different factors. One, which is the enclosure of the building. That includes within it the type of glass and the patterning on the glass. Glass comes with it. There's a number of glasses that have been tested by the American Bird Conservancy, and those factors, which are considered threat factors, are calculated into this broader calculation that LEED has, which takes into account facade zones and percentage of threat factor. And so we ran the project through that calculation for LEED. And basically these are the metrics that kind of are part of that equation. So there's a maximum allowable bird collision threat factor, which is 15. When we ran ours through the calculation, it was 2.9. A lot of this has to do with the fact that we have such little glass as a percentage on our project. But when you have an expansive glass, it does take that into account, and it's looking at the threat factor of the glass itself. So the threat factor of our glass is estimated at 42 to 62. And the highest threat factor that you can have for the LEED credit is 75. There is a confirmed threat factor of the 42, which is the 16, I'm sorry, the 1/8 inch dots on staggered centers that we have, which is a pattern. That one was tested. And there's additional patterning that we have along with a corner product that we're utilizing to meet this requirement. The maximum threat factor at glazed corners, which is a product called Feather Friendly, which is a post-applied product. And so we're utilizing the the ceramic frit that we need for our performance in order to meet all of these LEED standards and actually exceed them. So in addition to the enclosure itself, there are other requirements for the LEED credit, which the project does comply with. One is that the exterior light fixtures need to be turned off between midnight and 6. Another one is that there is no direct light above the horizontal angle. And our light fixtures go straight down. There's like a cone of vision for the exterior lighting. And then the last one is that there is a post construction monitoring system that Loyola will implement, which documents any bird strike that happens and basically identifies when it happens, the date, the time, anything that they think may be contributing to the collisions, and then we'll take a look at the entire system after 3 years.
Great, thank you. That's a very comprehensive and pointed presentation. Thank you. I will ask our commissioners now if they have any questions for Sarah or Dennis, and I'd like to start with Devin, please.
Actually, I have no questions. You guys thoroughly vetted our concerns, and I appreciate all the time and effort.
Thank you. Mason.
I just have a really quick question. That is the detail at the corner of the fence. How are you going to sort of turn the corner? Are you going to have sort of like a kind of piece of metal at the corner to kind of hold it in, or sort of expose it, or chamfer it?
It'll be like a slip, kind of like a staggered installation, so that you see like a typical brick installation where you stagger the corner.
Okay. Okay. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Richard.
Yeah, I'm okay with the proposal tonight.
Thank you. Nada.
I'm joining and saying I appreciate the clarification and changes, and have no comments or questions.
Thank you, Nada. Jeff.
I'm same. Thanks everybody, and can't wait till you guys start building. So super excited. It's gonna be beautiful.
I've looked through the information you provided, and then also we have our multiple appearance review certificate standards for review, and I believe this project has addressed all of them a couple times for many of them. So I'm very comfortable with that. I'll add my thanks and appreciation for the design work as well as the research on the bird-friendly glass. That's really, I'm glad you're able to point out how you're exceeding the standards. Sarah, that's a great thing for the community. Thank you. Lucas, we should see if there are any comments or questions from audience and guests.
Yes, there are no comments in Teams chat, but certainly if anyone is from on the call from public, please speak up.
So hearing none, is there a motion to approve the update to the design work for the Loyola Performing Arts Center by Crick and Sexton?
So
Motion to approve. Oh,
Sorry. Sorry.
Go ahead. I'll second it.
Jeff seconds. Mason makes the motion. Lucas, could you please call the roll?
Yes, Nada Andrick,
Yes,
Richard Brill,
Yes,
Devin Castellano,
Yes.
Mason Miller,
Yes.
Jeffrey Saad,
Yes.
and Charles Smith.
Yes. Approval is granted. Thank you. And I think we all share Jeff's comments about looking forward to the construction.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. It gave us an opportunity to get our PhD in bird safe glass, so it was a fun exercise. Thank you very much.
We've had
You're
some other
setting the standard.
same thing this week. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Dennis. Okay, Lucas, could you please call our next case?
Yes, 2021 AR 28 for 1 Indian Hill. Excuse me. The petitioner is requesting an appearance review certificate to modify the roofing material and landscaping. This was reviewed previously last December. And, oh, sorry, we've got someone wanting to come in. Reviewed last December. Since that time, as they've worked through their development drawings and bid out the plans, they're choosing to make a material change for the roofing. And then also, as was described in the case report, since this was last reviewed by the Appearance Review Commission, this went to the village board. And at that meeting, the plans had been revised a little bit and showed some additional landscaping and also the removal of what had been proposed for a parking pad. So the parking pad has been removed, and the landscaping in that area will remain. And so the plans reflect that. There was also some additional information I received today, some more detailed landscape plans, which I'd forwarded on. If you didn't get a chance to take a look at those, they're basically providing further detail on the exact species, location, and as well as the fencing in that northeast corner of the property. And I believe John Talty with OKW is on the call. John, if you'd like to provide any additional information.
Sure. Thank you guys for your time tonight. Excuse me. As Lucas said, the catalyst for the conversation is really the request to change the roofing material on the environmental building, which is one of the 2 proposed new buildings on site. It's the northernmost building, which was originally intended to be a pre-engineered facility that we ended up going in a different direction, and it's a ground-up building that we have documented. And as a result, what was part of a pre-engineered system, standing seam metal roof, the hope is that we can change that roof to an asphalt shingle roof that is compatible and similar to the asphalt shingle roofs elsewhere found on campus at Indian Hill Club. Also, regarding the removal of the parking pad to the north of the existing maintenance facility, that was part of a dialogue that the club had with the Nelson family, which are the neighbors immediately to the east on Hunter Road, at the end of Hunter Road. And just as a way of kind of keeping the peace and trying to be good neighbors, the club made the decision to remove the pad because there was a bit of a controversy as to how it could be used, what could be staged there. So the choice was made to simply remove it and leave all of the existing conditions on the north side of the maintenance building as is, but for the Nelsons requested that we remove a large maple tree that's in existence on the property line east of the maintenance building and replace that maple tree with 18-foot evergreen trees to better block their view of the subject property. So the removal of the pad and the landscape are all enhancements, along with the replacing of an existing 42-inch high chain link fence, which extends from the eastern property line to the northeast corner of the maintenance building. It's approximately 28 feet long, and replacing that with a stockade fence as is seen around the balance of the perimeter of the site. So that all being said, I guess the ask here is really regarding the asphalt shingle roof, in hopes that we could swap out a standing seam metal roof on a very shallow pitched building. We asked the roofing contractors as to whether or not a asphalt shingle roof would be an appropriate and successful roofing solution to this small building. They said absolutely. So as part of this package, you see the change from the standing seam to the asphalt. And that's about all I have to say. I would further add that the roof from the perimeter of the property, given the shallowness of the pitch of the roof, especially from Kenilworth Avenue, is imperceptible. You wouldn't be able to even see the building because of it's pushed so far to the north on the site, number one. And number two, the roof, if you were to see the building, the roof is so shallow, you're below, from a grade perspective, you're well below the building, so the roof would just disappear. It's not an aesthetic debate, or from my perspective, it's really just it's a materiality conversation.
Okay, thank you, John. Appreciate that overview.
Sure, and then obviously the questions, I'll happily answer anything you want to.
Yeah, I'd like to go through our commissioners and give them the floor for a few minutes, and then we'll go to our audience. There may be a question or two or comment from the audience that we certainly want to hear.
Thank you.
Nada, could you please take the floor for a second if you have any questions?
I would gladly do that, but I don't think that I quite can recall. We had that very long discussion many months back, and there was an issue with the tree that we were feeling at that time and I don't know if that is the maple tree that you are talking about, John.
I don't think so.
There was and I actually went and I drove by to look at the tree, and I never would cut a tree, and this was sizable tree. I don't know if that's the same in a southwest corner.
Yeah, no, this is a tree that you probably wouldn't even know existed, because it's at the northeast corner of the property, proximate. It's shared kind of on the property line between the maintenance site and the Nelson's property next door. Mm-hmm. And they had asked the tree, they felt was a bit of a nuisance, and they had asked if we would please remove the tree and replace it with some more opaque trees, so that when they're looking out their bedroom window upstairs, they see less of the property.
So what happened to that big maple tree?
I'm not sure what maple tree there are trees in the middle of the site that are being removed. We have a permit for removal of those trees. So those are
major tree, and it's in a southwest corner, a little bit in that quadrant, in the southwest quadrant.
Southwest. I'm looking at the tree removal plan. There are three large trees in the middle of the site that are being removed. They're not maples, I don't believe. They are, in fact, oak trees, 1, 2, and 3, and they are being removed because any construction, it was deemed that any construction on this site was going to disrupt the future health of these trees, that's root system and the like. And so there was the location of those trees fundamentally precluded anything from happening on the property.
Okay, I think I would like to stop here, Charles, and hear a little more. I still don't quite understand the magnitude or, potential. There were a lot of neighbors that had comments and questions, and if I may do that later, please.
We have supplemented a tremendous amount of landscape on the site for the loss of the trees. Those trees on property were never They were discussed, yes, they were discussed, but they were never an issue fundamentally to the process by which we've gone through. And have subsequently been approved by the village board. In fact, we have a permit to remove those trees right now.
Yeah, Nada, that was a difficult point for all of us in that first discussion. We did approve the overall project, and the village board, I believe, did so, except that they changed, as John said, the one parking pad to not install that. So unfortunately, that's the case. Devin, do you have any questions for John?
On page 6, it looks like there's part of a revision bubble by the aluminum downspout and gutter. Is there any change to anything other materials beyond the asphalt shingles?
No, nothing. In fact, I saw that too. I apologize. I'm not sure why that was. There was some kind of a printing error that superimposed information on there. The only change is the storage building asphalt shingle roof in lieu of the standing seam metal roof.
Got it.
Otherwise, materiality all remains the same. Siding, gutters, downspouts, everything. The lighting is everything.
Got it. I mean, the asphalt shingle roof is pretty typical for the residences around that area. So I have no other questions.
Thank you. Jeff?
Yeah, I have no other questions.
Richard? Richard, you're on mute. Richard, you're still on mute.
Sorry. I remember you said we should mute ourselves. Apologize. On the landscaping, how many mature trees will be removed and how many new trees and significant shrubs and bushes will be added?
There are 10 trees to be removed on site overall, and I don't know, Richard, off the top of my head, how many will be added. I'm going to tell you it's probably 30 to 40.
New trees?
New trees, yes. Around the perimeter, along Kenilworth Avenue, along the east side between the property and the Nelsons, along Hunter Road. There's and along Indian Hill Road to the west.
Okay, and these trees will grow to significant heights and
yes, in fact, some of them are going, as I said, these evergreens are 18 feet high at installation. So they're substantial.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Sure.
Mason?
I have no comment.
I have one question, John, and that was, it appears that the portico on the new building has a standing seam metal roof on it, if I'm reading the rendering correctly. And my instincts are that that was probably part of the overall complex design when you previously had the standing seam on the other building. So is this change is it a cost-driven change? Is it an aesthetic? You mentioned tying in with the other buildings, yet there looks like there's standing seam on the portico.
I think the intent of that, Charles, was to maintain the white, the kind of the nature of the building itself as being white. But I don't, now that you mention that, I don't know, I can't honestly sit here and tell you that that's being swapped out as well on the portico of the employee center.
Okay, well, I would assume it's not, since it's not being brought to us.
Correct. So that will remain as is.
Okay. Okay, I think now's the time to offer to hear any comments or questions from the audience, Lucas. Mr. Mrs. Thompson?
Yeah.
Would you like to have the floor for a minute, please?
Just for a minute, yes, please. Again, we own the property across from the entryway to the maintenance facility along Kenilworth Avenue, directly opposite the gate there. And we did not receive any notification regarding the substance of tonight's meeting, any type of written notification. I obtained the information through the village, so there's nothing lost there. And I really don't have any objections to the proposals as they're set forth here. That being said, after the last meeting with the Appearance Review Committee in December, we had an opportunity to meet with Mr. Schlagetter at the location there along Kenilworth Avenue and discuss some improvements along adjacent to the parkway area outside the maintenance facility fence, where there might be a possibility of introducing some more year-round greenery in that area to make it more appealing and pleasant. At that point in time, Mr. Schlagetter indicated that he was agreeable to this and thought it probably would be introduced sometime in the early spring. I'm assuming this is maybe push this whole thing back, this amendment that's going forth here tonight. But I did not have a chance, nor did I see any type of additional greenery added along Kenilworth Avenue where we are concerned, and just want to get some sort of assurances that will be addressed here shortly.
That will most certainly. First of all, I apologize for you not getting anything. You were on the list, so I know that we submitted the mailings in a proper time, and so I apologize for you guys not receiving anything. As for the corridor along Kenilworth Avenue, yes, it will all get improved. I think part of our dilemma has been a delay in getting a building permit, and so that's obviously you haven't seen anything happening across the street, and then missing out on a window of appropriate timing in which to plant things. So my guess is that the fall would be the time when all this wants to go in. It's just a healthier time for plant material to go in the ground. But I can assure you on behalf of the club that Kenilworth Avenue corridor is going to be addressed per all of our conversations.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Are there any other comments from our audience? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the case and the design as submitted?
I'm sorry, Charles, I was muted. There are two comments that came in on YouTube chat.
Okay.
One question is from the Nelsons, who live just to the east of this property. They're asking if the club deems that changes to the landscaping plan are necessary during the project. How will the changes be proposed, reviewed, communicated, and approved? So I assume this means if there's changes that happen once construction is started. And I guess I can speak to that. If there are changes to the plans, those will need to be submitted to the village for review before those changes can take place. And if there are changes of substance, like removal of landscaping or change in materials, it will come back to the commission, just as these items came back to the commission. And then the other comment we had was from Jennifer Boyd. I do think we should consider aesthetic potential in terms of matching, because I will be able to see it in my house. I think she's referring to the materials of the roof, the standing seam and asphalt shingle.
Right. My observation would be that the standing seam is on a small portion of the new building. It's on the portico, and the balance of that roof, if I read the drawings and the renderings correctly, is a flat roof. Is that correct, John?
Yeah, correct. It's got a parapet. I really view the portico as more of an architectural expression of something, right? It's a thing, and it could stand independent of the roof expression on an adjacent building. The portico is really more, its ornament is more, as much as anything, and simple shelter prior to walking in the front door. And so I don't really view it along with the roof on the environmental building as necessarily having to be the same. And again, you won't see any of this unless you're on the second floor of the buildings of the homes across the street.
Yeah.
And given the landscape that's there, I think you'd have to look for it to be able to figure it out.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other, I trust that addresses that point.
Yes, those, the two neighbors responded that would be acceptable, and that they would leave it up to the commission's expertise on the matter, but they just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, no, appreciate the question, and I concur with John that they're separate things, separate uses of a roofing material, and not dissimilar from homes having adjacent different roofing materials. So I don't think it's going to be an issue. Okay, thank you for all the comments to the audience and to the commissioners. Is there a motion relative to the case as it's presented?
Okay, I'd be glad to make one, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
For case 2021 AR 28, 1 Indian Hill Road, we move that we grant an appearance review certificate to modify the roofing material and landscaping as noted in the proposal.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Devin. Lucas, could you please call the roll?
Nada Hendrick,
Well, through this discussion, I am determining that the neighborhood is essentially supporting your project, and we hope that you will proceed from this point on in the best neighborly manner on both ends. And I say yes.
Thank you.
Richard Brill,
Yes.
Devin Castellano,
Yes.
Mason Miller,
Yes.
Jeffrey Saad,
Yes.
and Charles Smith.
Yes. Motion carries. Good luck, John, and to the club.
Thanks so much. Thanks, you guys, for everything. Look forward to seeing you all in person down the road.
We are too. Okay, moving right along. Our next case, I believe, is AR 27, Lucas.
AR 24.
AR 24, that's what I meant to say. Okay,
Yes, so 2021 AR 24 for 400 Linden Avenue. The petitioner is Dental Studio of Wilmette, and they're requesting a 29.5% wall coverage sign variation and a variation to display a prohibited box sign. I believe, I'm just looking at the list. Yes, Dr. Rawlings, I believe, is on the call. If you would like to introduce yourself.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me this evening. My name is Dr. Juliana Rawlings. I'm a dentist opening my dream of opening an office in Wilmette. It's an honor to serve the community. I've been working with Lucas for a sign variation of 29.5%. This is due to the storefront, the allowable signage areas very small. So that's where the variance request has been made. I also have Nick Prager is also in as well. He's the sign person I'm working with. He's an expert on this, and he's also helping me with any detailed questions to help answer as far as what's requested.
Okay, thank you. I think the information presented in the submittal is fairly self-evident as what the request is. I think there's probably going to be some discussion on this, so why don't we start, Mason, with you this time relative to the signage variation request.
Do we happen to know, Lucas, how the size of the letters of the business across the street, which is, I think, is a fitness studio? I looked on Google, Street View, and they look to be about 12 inches. Those letters, even though it's like sort of a lowercase letter, but just wondering if you happen to know.
Sure. The fitness center across the street on the corner, just to the east. I don't have that readily available, but I can look that information up while we're discussing.
Okay, because it's sort of like, that those buildings are sort of they're sort of a pair, and they're not the same. They weren't built at the same time, but they sort of have the same scale, same presence. I don't have any further questions at the moment.
Okay, thank you, Mason. Devin.
I was actually going to ask a similar question just with adjacent tenants. I do see that there was some comments about other businesses concerned about the size of the lettering. So I was concerned, or I was curious what the letter height of the adjacent businesses currently are.
Yeah, the letter height specifically, I would need to look that information up, but I can tell you as a frame of reference. So the sign is 23.5 square feet in area, which is, I guess, the way that the code reads. It's not so much concerned about letter height as it is with overall area of the sign. So we look at the total area, which is for the sign 23.5 square feet. And there aren't a whole lot of wall signs in the district. A lot of the businesses have either window signs or awning signs. But of the businesses that do have wall signs, the former Artisanal Wilmette, which was like the grocery store just down the street at 414 Linden, that was 53 square feet in area. So a little over twice as large. 411 Linden, let's see, that was 16 square feet. The Adams Driving School, theirs is just Adams, because they essentially took it from their former location. And that's only 7.8 square feet, but that's really just the word or the letters Adams.
Right.
And
so part of it is with a longer title, you're going to end up eating up more square feet for your signage, correct?
Right. I believe the letter height was 12 inches on that sign for Adams Driving School, if I remember correctly.
Sure.
So that's just sort of just a summary of some of the other other wall signs in the area. But as I said, a lot of the signs are going to be awning signs or window signs. In this proposal, the letter height is 9 inches and 11 inches, which is pretty consistent with the other lettering. Certainly no larger than some of the other lettering. I attempted to explain kind of the how we calculate signable area, and for this particular building, it is somewhat limited because of just the design of the storefront. There's not large expanses of open area as you would see on most storefronts. They've got window air conditioner units. They've got sort of arches in the architecture, and then in the particular location where they're proposing to install it, they're on a corner, so they're limited, sort of a chamfered corner. So they're limited in that area. And then there's also a lot of brick detailing and insets, which further reduce the signable area. So, but I think when you look at the size of the sign, it's certainly, within scale to some of the other signs that had been approved, such as artisanal Wilmette, which was twice as large.
Got it. Thank you. That was my only question, because like I said, the letters do seem, proportional to the facades. So, I could see the hardship with just the length of the title causing that you to go over in the square footage. No other questions for me.
Thank you. Richard, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. Trust I'm unmuted. It is a large sign, but you mentioned there are others, including the fitness studio right across the street. What troubles me a little bit is this is an illuminated sign, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's correct.
Yeah, and there's no other business anywhere remotely near 4th and Linden that has an illuminated sign, which could be pretty bright, and it would stand out without question. And I can see many of the other owners wanting their own illuminated signs to keep up with the competition. So that's a concern of mine. One thing on the positive side, I'm very glad to see another dental practice opening in the area. This is the 4th or 5th at 4th and Linden. So we have a dental center in Wilmette, which is terrific. But the illumination on the sign does pose some problems for me.
Thank
Do you mind if I chime in?
Yeah, no, please, Nick.
Okay. Again, I appreciate the introduction. My name is Nick with Landmark Visibility Solutions. I'm going to be the sign contractor on this project. I wanted to dovetail on what Lucas was saying, which is the hardship is not, there's nothing in the sign code that restricts the illumination of the sign. The hardship that we're challenged with is the shape of the sign itself. So that sign band that we are being calculated 30% of is such a small part of this large building that even when we have signage that's comparable or maybe even a little smaller than other signs that are in the city, it's exceeding, that's what we're here for the variance for, is it's exceeding our allowable signage area, even though we are right on par with what many other businesses and even less than some of the other businesses in the area. So that's the challenge. And it's giving us a hindrance for my client to grow her business.
Well, I would make the observation that perhaps wasn't the intention of the architecture when it was first designed.
Sure.
So I don't necessarily know that it's a hindrance to grow a business, to come into an existing condition, frankly. So I don't know if that's exactly the right way to frame it, but anyway, but I appreciate your observations about, other signs in the village.
Yeah,
Jeff.
we're not asking for anything above and beyond or any competitive advantage against other businesses in the area. Just
Right.
trying to stay on par with what the standards are with these other local businesses. And that's the
Right.
challenge.
And what our job is to look at each individual case and the architecture that it's being located on.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, do you have any questions?
Yeah, thanks, Charles. Lucas, if that's the case, he could have the illuminated sign, then what is the variation display a prohibited box sign? What's the definition of a box sign then, if he's saying he
Yeah.
can have the illuminated sign?
Yeah, so channel letters are permitted. But a box sign is something where you have multiple letters, multiple characters in one cabinet.
So when he
And
does the when he said
Right.
he's doing the 2 letters, then
Right.
that becomes a box sign. So
Right.
then makes it voided.
It usually becomes more of an issue when I have a great example, but I guess International Bank of Chicago. So in their sign, which is on Green Bay Road, they have International Bank, and then of Chicago is sort of like down below it in the smaller font. And because you can't really do letters of that size in a channel letter format, those were just not illuminated. So that's how they chose to do it. I think those letters are a little bit smaller than this proposal, but that's typically where this issue where it becomes an issue of just fitting, multiple characters in one box or cabinet.
Okay. Well, I mean, just a little bit to add what Richard was saying. I mean, I'm more than happy for more dentists in the area as well, and it's your dream, and I hope it is super wonderful for you. But there are many comments from people in the community sort of saying, hey, how bright are these signs going to be? How long are they going to be on for? And it's setting something up. So, I mean, I would caution, I guess, in a sense of what's the illuminated sign really getting for you, for more business of the business that you want, and just the area and size. Maybe it would be just as well small if it has to be the box sign that's illuminated rather than larger. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Jeff.
Yep.
Nada.
Well, I have to say that I am delighted to see when I saw this, when you dropped the package, Lucas, and through the whole thing, I'm saying this is our village has a couple commerce centers, and this is a little commerce center that recently went through some a little bit of a slowdown, and I think the different businesses, I understand somebody mentioned there is a fitness, there is some other kind of businesses. I see no competition among this. The size of the letter seems to be within the parameters that you were talking about. The others 12 inches, 11, this is 11 inches, the larger letter. And I see no problem whatsoever with this happening in this little kind of a focal point of commerce in the town. So I have no problem, and I like everything that was presented. So.
Great. Thank you, Nada. Have I given the commissioners all an opportunity? I believe I didn't miss anyone. Okay, very good. Lucas, could you see if there are questions from the audience? I believe I saw something flash up. Somebody would like to speak.
And if I can just say one more thing that I think is important, the signs should vary. And they all, each one is announcing its own presence. And again, trying to make them all very close to each other. Yeah, I know we are after an order, but there is a, this sub-order that exists and kind of indicates the liveliness and the vitality of the area.
Thank you, Nada. There was a gentleman, Robert Madrigal, who I believe he made in the chat, he asked to make a comment at 7:47. Was that for this case or was that the prior case?
Yes, so that was for this case.
Okay, very good. Robert, you have the floor.
Perfect. Everyone, my name is Robert Madrigal. I'm one of the 5 dentists at Fort and Linden. I just wanted to address this subject. I have a couple of concerns. I talked to a couple other businesses and dentists in the area, and so I know I'm sharing a very similar viewpoint here. The first main concern is the landscape of the neighborhood. Right now, I think it was Charles who mentioned, there's it's not that it's all uniform, but it's pretty consistent culture and vibe in that neighborhood. I think if we go this route, it's fine. I'll play ball with this. I'm sure you guys have all, considered this thoroughly, but this is going to be following the more, from my understanding, the sign, because I believe Juliana is working with John Phelan, who I've also had come out to our practice when I first started there to talk about signage, is that it's going to get very cookie cutter, right? If she does this type of sign, when John first came out to my office, that's the very first thing I wanted. Of course, who doesn't? A beautiful Brit lit sign where everyone sees it when they drive by. It's a no-brainer. The first thing John told me is that the board typically does not let you go over 30%. I dropped it right there. Said, hey, we've been here since 1930s, serving Wilmette. We've managed with this sign. We'll keep managing. And then, so I was a little shocked when I found out that we're looking for a 68% coverage, and that, it was just kind of shocking to me. So I actually reached back out to John and, had some thoughts with him on the subject. So I know that's one you guys have considered extensively. I don't think it merits much further word on that subject. But then my big concern comes into play is when she gets approval for the sign. Is there, again, I'm fairly new to the neighborhood. The practice has been around since the 1930s, but I just purchased it from Dr. Peter Newhouse last year. So forgive me here. I don't know exactly how this whole process works, but if she does get approval for the neighboring businesses and, the 4 other dentists, is there gonna be some type of clause where we're allowed to replicate this, have a sign in the same proportion? Because, of course, I would love to have, an LED lit sign with the box sign where I can get more, visibility and advertised at the same level as my, neighboring dentists. So that's just a couple of concerns that I have with it, and, wanted to share with you guys.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate your perspective very much.
Do you mind if I address it?
Sure, Nick. Please do.
Just again, on behalf of my client, if you look at the drawing, it's not an unreasonable ask. I think it's very aesthetically pleasing. I think it speaks well to the professional, again, an affluent neighborhood. I think it looks great. I think that the challenge is to be considered is the sign band in this building is not typical. And that's why we're here. We're not here because it's an LED illuminated sign. It's because of the shape of the building that we're challenged. So again, we're not asking for a larger sign than any of our competitors, not asking for a larger sign than any of the neighboring tenants or anyone else. It's just the suitable size that many other people are using just in a tight area. So again, because we're challenged with the size of the sign band, it appears percentage-wise to be larger, but it isn't. And the specs are there, and you can see that.
If I could just, Mason Miller had the question about the letter height of the sign at 350 Linden for personal training fitness. So that was a permit that was issued in 2010. And the letter height of that was 15.5 inches.
Okay.
Just
Much larger.
For a reference.
Yeah, but the another factor here is when you look at the name, Down Studio Wilmette, yes, it's longer. I understand the struggles. I understand with the AC. You guys are facing many challenges. I'm not disagreeing with that fact whatsoever. If the sign, right, it's 28 inches in the height if you combine dentist with the of, because it's a longer sign. So if someone just had, one phrase as in dental Wilmette, something like that, the proportion, the sign, the percentage, there's a reason why the rule is based on a percentage, because that covers a larger area. You can make the name 3 lines long, 10 inches each. Now you're at 30 inches. So it's, that's why the percentage is a key factor to consider and why that's probably in the rules.
Lucas, could you tell us if the fitness studio sign is that illuminated?
It is not.
Okay. And then for edification, down the same block to the west, there's a barber sign above sitting on the canopy. And do you have any, it looks to me like those are fairly high. I don't know if they're illuminated or not.
Yeah, I would need to look that one up as well.
I had another quick question. Are you, Juliana, are you the only tenant in the building?
Yes.
Okay.
The entire building?
I believe there's people upstairs on the second level. There's just like small, like I believe it's like a lawyer, like a little office. And then the adjacent area is available for rent.
Yeah, I think it's a multi-tenant building, Mason.
Okay, so, but those tenants could never have a sign, is that right?
Right. As far as I know.
Okay.
Yeah,
you.
this is, I just want to clarify. So the building, the property where this subject building is located spans all the way down to 416 Linden and north to the alley. But this particular building currently has one first floor tenant and then multiple tenants on the second floor, like office tenants. And I believe there is one additional tenant space in the building on the first floor, just further north. That's currently vacant. That's about 1,000 square feet, but that would front on 4th Street.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. Are there any further comments from our audience? Commissioners, any final questions or comments?
Yes, Charles.
Yes, Richard.
Yeah. Just my perspective before we take a vote is that if the proposal did not have an illuminated LED signs, I'd vote yes. But having illuminated sign is out of character with the 4th and Linden area and all the other businesses. And I think it would encourage a number of other businesses to do it. And that would change the overall streetscape and look of the area. And right now it's pleasant. It looks like a very, very nice, single story, primarily retail environment, and it would change the character of it. So the illumination is a problem for me, not the rest of it.
Lucas, I know.
Charles, could
I'm
I
sorry.
say something?
First Nada, then Devin.
Right,
Nada.
sorry, Devin. If the lighting, there is something called the intensity. So if it has a glow around it, there is nothing wrong with this is again, a little commercial area adjacent to a very busy train station. You're not in a, area with a golf course. And so I don't see, this is a little kind of a sign of life and commerce and what is happening in the village. So I think if that illumination could be regulated with a certain, light candles glow, so that it doesn't have any kind of a great intensity as some light illuminated signs have. I don't see the problem with that. I think it's quite welcoming to see it. And this is not necessarily, that area is not residential. It is really little, four corners of a, at one time, it probably was, and I do remember time when it was all very, very vibrant and all very live, and it was to be a commercial sub-center. So this is my opinion as an old, long resident of the village. Thank you. Thank you, Chuck.
I may add, if acceptable, thank you. I appreciate and understand your comments, and I respectfully, I understand the concerns as well. We have discussed, of course, putting it on a timer, and as Nada mentioned, a dimmer as a possibility as well, to be respectful to our neighbors as far as the LED.
Nick, do you have any response to the lumens that will be coming off of the light or the sign? Any comments to what Juliana just overviewed for us?
Yeah, we discussed this as an option because, and again, you see typical, signs in the front of buildings. These are not obnoxiously bright. And I would argue that the box signs are actually worse because of all the negative space that's going to be lit as well. As an olive branch, especially if this is, if Juliana wants to propose this, I'm sure we could do something with a timer or some kind of dimmer to make sure that it's still illuminated, but also not a distraction, I guess. So I think that would be fair.
Yeah, I don't know how we'd regulate that. I think that's something that might be appealing to the group. I think that's something, the village code requires the lights to be off from midnight to 6 a.m. at a very minimum. Not quite sure that's enough in this case. Because of the obvious sensitivities that you're hearing.
Right now, I have the channel letters proposed as a single stroke, which means there's only one line of LEDs through each letter. Now, obviously, I could make multiple passes and make that brighter. Some retailers do that. That's not the case here. So again, I don't think that this is anything atypical that you would see to any illuminated sign. It's not going to be obnoxious. It's not going to stand out like a sore thumb. Again, the fact that the sign is illuminated is not, again, why we're here for the variance.
Lucas, I had one more question. I know there's, concerned tenants or adjacent tenants and neighbors.
Mhm.
Do we have any idea? So, the request is it's really the percentage of the wall area. But in terms of, and we've determined that the letter heights are very similar to adjacent signs. What about the area? Outside of the wall coverage percentage, is the area of the sign much larger than adjacent tenants, or is it comparable?
So, yeah, that was some of the information I was providing at the beginning. So like I said at the beginning, there's not a lot of wall signs, so it's hard in that particular district. So it's a little hard to compare because most people have awning signs or window signs. But if you're looking at just wall signs, the ones that had been approved would be starting off with artisanal Wilmette. That was 53 square feet in area. And that was illuminated, but it was reverse lit. So it was instead of the face of the sign being lit, it was the essentially the back of the sign or the wall around it was being lit. And then at 411 Linden, that sign is 16 square feet. The one for Adams Driving School, which is just as Adams, that's 7.8 square feet. The Duxler, their sign when they were there was 30 square feet. For their ground sign. So that was an illuminated ground sign. That was 30 square feet. They're no longer in business. There's a kind of a performing arts studio that uses it for practice space. So they have the sign there, but they don't illuminate it because they don't really have any use for that. But theoretically, they would be able to illuminate it. It would be permitted by code currently for them to illuminate that sign.
I'm looking on a Google Earth image, and immediately north on 4th Street, 509 4th Street, there is a restaurant and it has pizza and grill, those two words on the stone. And those letters appear to me just by looking at it from my eye to be 12 to 15 inches tall, each letter. And it's certainly a 18 to 10 foot long sign. So that's another one. I was just looking in the area. I do not know, Lucas, if that sign is illuminated or not. It doesn't necessarily appear so, but it's hard to tell in the daylight photo.
Yeah, that sign is not illuminated. And if you give you a second, I can look up the actual size of that one.
Okay.
So that's 509 4th Street?
Correct.
Okay.
I think Nada's point's a good one as well, though. Directly kitty corner is the train station, which in and of itself is a active, maybe not 24/7 node of transportation, but an active one throughout the evenings and obviously in the mornings.
Yeah, and I mean, with what Richard stated, I mean, it is probably the most predominant corner in the area as well. I mean, how it's associated, it's a 2-story building, it's taller, it's bigger, it's right on the corner. I mean, I'm with Richard. I mean, I'm hard pressed to give the sign the extra area if it's illuminated, because it will have the same effect if it's illuminated then with a smaller sign. So
Is there a reason, Nick, that the sign couldn't be smaller?
Yeah, the challenge is making channel letters any smaller than the letter heights we've already got. I mean, if you do 9 inches with your hands, I mean, it's very difficult to manufacture and actually run LEDs through a sign where the letter stroke is so thin you can't even fit an LED module inside of there. Which is obviously why most people manufacture letters 12 inches or more, because that's the only way you can manufacture them to fit LED modules inside of each letter.
Okay. Lucas, any luck on the,
yeah, I'm sorry, I did not find, I could not find the plans for 509 4th Street. I know came to the commission in 2010, but I don't have that readily available.
yeah, I think that was before this current tenure of this group. Okay, so I think the topic has been well discussed. Any last opportunity for questions or comments?
One last comment, which again, we're talking about right across the street from the train station. I didn't come to the meeting expecting any pushback on the LED illumination. I find it surprising that that's the biggest hang up here, not the size, the fact that it's illuminated. There's nothing in the code that's stopping us from illuminating the sign. And we're across from a train station that's way more illuminated than we're worrying about these little letters.
I completely agree, and I'm just wondering, is this really our biggest hang up, just the illumination? Or,
yeah, I don't think it is necessarily, not from my perspective. It's you know, we do need to justify granting a variation, and there are categories against which we need to judge this, and those categories are, because I do think it's worth making sure that we're all made aware. You know, the first category is unusual circumstances. Is there a variation required that will relieve the petitioner from an unusually difficult situation?
Yeah,
we can make our own judgment. There's a category called character and appearance. The variation will be consistent in design and scale with other signs nearby. That's why I was trying to understand the height of some of these others that we see in the area. It will not alter the essential character of the commercial streetscape in the vicinity of the subject property. There's a category to ensure that this is not self-created, that the plight of the property owner was not created by the owner themselves, and in this case, that's not the case. There's a category, the last category is health, safety, and welfare, and that the variation will not create a traffic or safety hazard. It will not impair the utility of the neighboring properties signage, and this one does not do that. So I think the category that people need to be cognizant of is the first two. Is this truly an unusual or difficult circumstance for the petitioner? And then the second category is it consistent in design and scale with other signs nearby?
Charles, sorry if I could interrupt. So you're asking about 509 4th Street. I just found that. So that sign is 45 square feet in area.
Do you know how high the letters are there, Lucas?
For some reason, I don't have the graphics. I just have the information on the square footage.
That's fine. I understand. That's fine.
Sorry.
Okay. Well, let's. I think we've discussed this. We should put this to a vote now. Is there a motion on the floor regarding AR 24?
I move a motion to approve the sign as submitted.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Lucas, could you please take the roll?
Yes, Nada Andrick,
Yes,
Richard Brill,
As I mentioned, if it's without illumination, yes. If it's with illumination, no.
yeah, as presented, it would be with illumination.
Okay, so I'd have to vote no if it's with illumination.
Devin Castellano,
Yes.
Mason Miller,
Yes.
Jeffrey Saad,
No.
and Charles Smith.
Yes.
All right, the motion carries, and this will go to the village board. Their meeting is going to be, July 13th. So this is a recommendation that will go to the village board on July 13th.
Sorry, can you explain what happens next?
Sure. So the Appearance Review Commission is a recommending body. So they are recommending approval of this variation request. And so that variation request will go to the village board. The village board is the body that provides final approval for variations. So they will hear this on July 13th. So they're the ones that would actually give the final say on a variation request. And then after, assuming the village board approves it on July 13th, then our staff would be able to issue the permit.
Okay.
But that, I think it's important to understand that it's not a guarantee that they will pass this. They will go through a similar review, I suspect. Maybe not as in depth, but there may be some questions there too. So just to be really transparent.
Thank you for your comments and time.
Okay.
And then, sorry, if someone would like to make a motion to authorize the chairman to prepare the report to the village board.
So authorized.
Second,
Second.
thanks, Devin. Nada Andrick,
yes,
Richard Brill,
Yes.
Devin Castellano,
Yes.
Mason Miller,
Yes.
Jeffrey Saad,
Yes.
and Charles Smith.
Yes, I authorize myself to send the report. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, thank you, everyone. If you could
Thank
please.
you so much.
Yes, next case is 2021 AR 27 for 530 Skokie Boulevard. Amina and Manoj Raj, they are requesting an appearance review certificate to install a fence along their south property line. And I believe they are on the call if they would like to introduce themselves.
Good evening, this is Manoj Raj with my wife, Amina Raj. So we are resident or owner of 530 Skokie Boulevard. I don't know, Lucas, would you give background before I jump in, or should I?
Sorry. Yeah, I can give a little bit of background. So this particular property is part of a townhome development. They are at the southern edge of the townhome development, and they're bordering a unapproved public right-of-way. So it was a location where the street did not continue all the way to Skokie Boulevard. It dead ends just east of it. So this particular property line, which we would call it the side yard adjoining the street, even though it's not really a street, it's just right-of-way. But in that yard, the code permits up to 4 feet in height, and the fence must be 50% open. So 50% would be essentially regulating the spacing between the pickets. So if it's a 3-inch wide picket, it would need a 3-inch wide opening between the picket. So the other fencing along Skokie Boulevard is a solid fence because it is part of a fence exception area. So essentially they were granted a variation a long time ago to install it, to install a 6-foot solid fence. However, that there had not been a variation requested for this particular section of fence. This is an entirely new section of fence that's continuing along that southern property line to the east property line.
So I had a bush there, and the bush got spoiled, so we removed the bush, and we want to put a fence, a space fence now.
Yeah, there had been vegetation along that southern property line, which had died, and so the applicant's wishing to replace that with a fence to provide some screening and also just security.
Yeah, I mean, I have 2 small kids, and my air conditioner is also like what do you call, the furnace is outside, and I need some kind of protection around it. So that's the purpose. And space, because if based on the recommendation of the landscapers, so if it's space, then there's more sunshine and so on, so it helps the plants to grow well. So that's the reason. I mean, I would let me know if there are any follow-up questions, but and I've also discussed with the association, there are no concerns as such. So, and there will be uniformity and type, cedar, whatever, red tickets. So,
Thank you, Raj. I'd like to let our commissioners ask if they have any questions or comments. Richard, we'll start with you this time.
Okay, yeah, my only question is, will the new fence be the same materials and the same look as the existing fence, except the spacing is different, according to village code? It's the same materials, roughly the same look.
I think we have a bad connection with Mr. and Mrs. Raj.
okay, so I said same material and same look.
Okay. That's good. Thank you.
Jeff?
I have no questions.
Nada?
I think this should be approved as requested.
Thank you. Mason?
Makes a lot of sense.
I agree. I have no questions.
Devin?
No questions.
I have I guess my question is, Mr. and Mrs. Raj, do you have a fence contractor who is installing the fence for you?
Yeah, we do.
We don't see any details of it. And we've set a little bit of a precedent in past by ensuring that the posts that go into the ground go down to a sub-frost line level, I believe 36 inches or lower, that will ensure the frost heave and thaw of your fence won't be a problem in a short time. So I don't see any details on here, but I guess I would just recommend that when you're having your fence installed, to ensure that the posts go down to the correct depth so that you have the longest life that you can out of it.
Excellent.
Yeah, sure.
We should ask if there's anyone in the audience or any other people on the YouTube lines that want to ask or offer comments.
I do not see any comments on YouTube chat and do not see any comments on Teams chat.
Okay. All right, hearing none, last chance for any of the commissioners to ask any questions. And if there are none, then is there a motion for this case? Feel free, feel free.
I motion to approve case number 2021 AR 29 at 325 3rd Street as submitted.
Oh, sorry.
I think that was the wrong one.
That's the next, Kevin.
Oh, sorry, sorry. Sorry, I just changed papers. Sorry, I motion to approve 2021 AR 27 530 Skokie Boulevard as submitted.
Second.
Second.
Mason, thank you. Lucas, please call the roll.
Yes. Nana Endrick,
Yes.
Richard Brill,
Yes.
Devin Castellano,
Yes.
Mason Miller,
Yes.
Jeffrey Saad,
Yes.
and Charles Smith.
Yes. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Raj, good luck. Enjoy your new enclosed yard. And thank you for coming before us.
Appreciate, yeah, I'm glad that my address did not change, so appreciate you guys cooperating.
It's nice to see your family on the screen too.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Lucas, please present the last case for the evening.
Yes, final case 2021 AR 29 for 325 3rd Street. The petitioner is Grant Butterfield, requesting an appearance review certificate to infill his existing doorway. And I'm checking to see if Mr. Butterfield is on the call. I can't see.
Yes, hello, can you see me?
Oh, yes, yep, I got you.
Hi, Lucas. Yes, I'm Grant, and Grant Butterfield. I live at 325 3rd Street, and there is a brick door leading to my driveway from my kitchen that is not very useful to my family anymore. There's actually a garbage can in front of it, inside and outside, and the wood door outside is kind of just falling apart, and my wife and I have decided we'd like to brick it up with a brick that is similar enough to what is already there.
Okay. That's maybe one of the first requests we've had of this type. So I don't know if our commissioners have any questions. Devin, we'll start with you on this one.
Is this your second means of egress or your second exit from your home?
Well, we have, there was an addition put on a while ago for the back door. We have a little addition. There's a sliding door in the back of the house, but there's also a door to the garage. So there's a door to the garage, and then you can get up to the garage door. We usually go in through the garage and come into that door. And so originally that door went to the backyard. So through the garage, does that make sense? So you go in through the garage door, and you go in through a small door, and that used to lead to the backyard, but there's an addition now, so that door leads to the family room.
So the other sliding glass door that you have, does that currently go to your yard, to the backyard? Yeah. And then you have a front door as well. So you still have two doors. And I'm just trying to look at this exact location. So is this towards the rear of the property or towards the front? It's hard to tell from the site plan.
It is. It's towards the front of the property. The door faces north, and it leads out under the driveway. So 3rd Street is right there. So you go in the driveway, and it's actually perpendicular to the driveway.
Got it. And does your neighbor have the same door across
They do.
from you? They
They
do.
do.
Okay. Is there any concerns by the neighbors, or have they been?
I've talked to them, and they don't seem to have any concerns. They do not have a door in their garage like I do, so they can't actually get to their garage, to their house. They have to open their garage door. So
Got
a
it.
little bit different setup.
So my one concern would be, it's very difficult to match brick and make
Sure.
it not look like, something that has been infilled. So that's something to definitely consider. I think it'd be great to see a little bit more of that front entry. It's kind of hard to tell just from what they have in the description. But yeah, that would be my biggest concern, is just, losing that symmetry with the adjacent owner.
Well, the bricks are actually different on the neighbor's house. It's a little bit different color brick, which is.
Yeah, actually from building, so they're all townhomes, they're connected, but from building to building, there is slight variations in the color and design.
Right, the neighbor, the Powers, who I share the driveway with, their house is actually different color brick, but the house where I share a wall with, the brick's all the same. So.
Got it.
And that's actually a good point to bring up. Mr. Butterfield did provide three samples of brick, and kind of laid them against his the wall of his building. You can sort of see based on those three examples, kind of which one might work the best. That was, I think, the last page of the packet shows that.
Got it. Well, and I was going to say, if the garbage cans are right there, that's going to be covering half of the brick anyways.
Right.
Those are my questions.
Thank you. Nada?
No questions, no comments.
Richard?
Yeah, just following up on Devin. Is the sliding glass door operable? Do you use it from time to time?
Yeah, I might not explain it very clearly. The sliding glass door goes to the backyard. And there is a door that we always use. Just a regular door that goes out to our garage, and that's how we come in. We come in.
Okay, but the sliding glass door, you do open and close it every so often?
Yeah, we have a dog, and we let him out there. It goes to our yard. We use it all the time.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff?
Yeah, I think I found it on Google Earth, and it's not facing the street, the door that you're removing, correct?
Right.
Okay. I guess my only thing, Devin brought it up briefly about the means of egress, or if there's fire, that the fire department would have to go through the garage door and then into the door to enter the house. So I don't know per se, and I don't know if that's in our privy to talk about or not. But that would be my only concern, if there's not two means of egress in the house any longer, for safety. But other than that, if smashed a brick and filled in would be fine, but that'd be my only comment.
Thank you. Mason?
I have no issues with the proposal. I guess as far as matching brick, very difficult, but I would say that the one on the left is the closest one in your image here.
Yeah, that was most people thought that as well. Yeah.
Is that the choice? Is that the selection?
But that was the one. Yes, Lucas thought it was too, and my wife and a couple other people seemed to like that one the best.
Okay. yeah, I would approve it with that.
Okay. Thank you. I have no comments or questions. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to weigh in on this issue?
I don't see any comments on the chat, and I don't see anyone else on the call, but certainly if someone is on the call, please speak up if you'd like to speak.
Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve this particular case?
Okay. I'd be glad to do that again. For case 2021 AR 29 325 3rd Street, I move that we grant an appearance review certificate to infill a doorway as submitted.
And second.
Thank you, Mason. Lucas, could you call the roll, please?
Nada Andrick,
Yes.
Richard Brill,
Yes.
Devin Castellano,
Yes.
Mason Miller,
Yes.
Jeffrey Saad,
Yes.
and Charles Smith.
Yes. Okay, motion approved. Grant, good luck. Hope this,
Thank you.
make it weather tight and make it sure it doesn't leak.
All right. Thank you very much, guys.
Okay, thank you. All right, we are at the close of our cases this evening. I will ask one more time if there's anyone in the audience that wishes to have any further comments.
No comments.
I'll ask our commissioners if there's any new business. Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
those in favor, aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that's the end of our meeting. I believe our next meeting is scheduled because of the holiday for July 12th, everyone, at 5 p.m. And I don't know if everyone was on, but Lucas indicated that this one likely will be in person.
Yes.